to go ahead and call to order the Committee of the Whole. And tonight I've got some important presentations from our Community Services Department. And with that, not sure who will be kicking us off.
I will, sir.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Thank you. So, Council President and Council members, thank you for your time. I'm going to be giving an overview on our cost recovery proposal update, as well as introduce our consultants, Greenplay, whom we worked with, and then Kelly may chime in and help me out if I happen to forget something. So, it will also touch on a strategic plan that we took a huge endeavor on. So with that, I am going to get underway with this presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Let me actually, that would require me to share my screen. Sorry about that. There you go. Alrighty, everybody see that okay?
Yeah,
Thank
looks
you,
good.
All right. So the reason we pursued this project, it actually started in 2018. It took the course of 2019 and 2020 because of COVID. We had to put a pause on the project and the efforts that we made. So the reason we pursued this was in 2018, we started the process of converting our recreation software. It had been in place for approximately 20 years. And with that had a lot of old processes and procedures. And so that in itself was a very large undertaking. Currently in that database, we have approximately 15,000 customers that participate in our programs and services. And those are only for the ones that are registerable. And we serve a very broad region, which we're grateful for, that people come to Renton for our programs and services. The next reason is retirement and attrition. We were really lucky to have a lot of institutional knowledge and wisdom in our division, but rightfully so, they earned the right to retire. And one of them was Debbie Little. She was with the city for 40 years. Andy O'Brien, Shirley Anderson, Chris Dempson, all of these folks had a vast amount of knowledge. So when they left, a lot of our process and procedures were based on people and not standardized systems. So they basically taught us a lot, and they brought us to a point, and then so now we're at the standardization point. Sorry about that. The next was we actually have a cost recovery policy in place to date. I included that as an attachment so council could see what was previously agreed upon. We're not looking to change it drastically, but we do want to provide an update based on community feedback and input. The next is new management. At the time, Carrie Nassani, and Carrie's on here as the manager, and she's wonderful. We were new to this, still new in comparison to a lot of other folks. I'm hitting 7, going on 8 years right now, and there's still a lot to learn about the community and our institution. So it was helpful for us to go through this. The next is limited resources. And when we say that, we're talking about financial resources. Our budget is approximately $6.2, $6.3 million, but only about 19 or 20% is really discretionary. That's how much money we have to deliver all of our programs and services, and it's right around 1.2 million. So we really want to make sure we're providing folks the best that we can with the limited we have. Out of that large number, only about 211,000 is actually money that can go towards expenditures. The rest captures for supplemental or contracts. So 200,000 isn't a lot, and that's how you can offset and subsidize fees. So again, we want to be respectful of our taxpayer dollars, and that was another reason. Competition. The market has changed since we offered a lot of these programs and services, and so we want to be adaptable and not duplicate and replicate, but really offer what we can in terms of a quality service and a service that complements what's available into the community, as well as provide the services that those who have limited resources, who are financially strapped and challenged, that we are serving our community members that need improved access or services directly targeted towards them. Oops, sorry about that. And then aging facilities. We are trying to offset and bring in whatever revenue we can through public and private partnerships and grants. Gary's been phenomenal about getting grants, and that has allowed us to do quite a bit. Lastly, we had no idea the pandemic was coming, but we were in a good position because we had gone through this forced evaluation and process, which is really going to prepare us to rebuild in the best way possible. So in terms of timeline, this is what we went through. So we started in Q1, we kicked off, and we just had to determine what was going to be critical success. It was a good thing we had this conversation because, like most projects, you one thing and you end up sometimes in a huge evaluation. It's kind of like a kitchen remodel. We went to replace the counters and we ended up doing the entire kitchen. So I've learned a tremendous amount from this process. This is taking us up to current date, but essentially we did a ton. We did allocation, evaluation. We had a wonderful community outreach experience, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. We did a full service assessment. That means we took every single product and program and service through a matrix that our consultants will help explain. And then we also looked at our operations based on our reflection. And lastly, we're up to this currently working with Kelly to present her with the update to the cost recovery policy as well as our strat plan, just to make sure it still complements the department and the city's goals and mission and values. Oops, here we go. So this is, sorry guys, I'm having a little bit of trouble here. Cost recovery, and I'm gonna hand it over to our consultants if they are on the line at the moment. We have Chris with Greenplay and Teresa, and Chris, do you wanna take it away? Oh, there's Teresa. Teresa's on mute.
Yeah, Teresa's going to start.
Yeah.
Welcome, Teresa. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. So first off, I just want to begin with how great it was to work with your team there. They are so committed and passionate about the work they do, and they really understand the meaning of team. And through this process, I think it really helped to even solidify that team further. They were very hands-on through the process, and again, just a pleasure to work with through this plan. But I want to start today by just saying that this is really much more than just a plan. It's really a shifting of the way the division does business on a daily basis. And the culmination of the work in the final report in reality is a beginning for them. It's really their path forward. And it's designed to last for 5 to 10 years. Of course, it'll have to be looked at. You have things like COVID that creep up on you. But this is really a path for them. So Greenplay brings a thorough understanding of parks and recreation services at the local level, having been administrators ourselves, but also we bring a national perspective, which allows us to share best practices and develop innovations to help the profession. So a cost recovery study is done to determine if and when you should charge for programs and to what degree. It's based on who's benefiting from the program, the community as a whole or the individual who's partaking. So this study specifically took into account, first, what is the basic level of service? Or excuse me, the way I should frame that is first, it really looks at your core services and it identifies that those basic level of services are free and they should be supported by tax dollars or tax revenues as a core service. Second, it recognizes that fees are responsible and that they're a necessary supplement at this point. Third, the greater the individual benefit, the higher cost recovery rate. It also considers economic climate, alternative providers, and market rate. And lastly, it allows for fee reductions for economic need. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Chris, and Chris is going to review the services assessment portion of the study. Chris?
Okay, I'm going to flip to the next slide there, whoever's managing the slides. So a services assessment is a different process, but it was completed as a major component of the strategic plan. And it helps you to determine what programs you should be offering in light of things like your mission, the marketplace. And that is including your capability of credibly offering the service. It does speak to who else is in the marketplace, but it's really more about your capacity, the demand for the service and your capacity to meet that demand, and also the capacity of the service itself to generate revenues from fees. So it attempts to answer questions about are your programs priced fairly and equitably, but how will you continue to fund your agency's facilities and services in relationship to what your budget's going to look like in the future. Are you using your funding in a responsible manner? And is the method that you're using for distributing your subsidy, is it transparent? Do people know how it is, how you're using it, and how that takes place? And does the way that you charge for services, and that means your facilities and your programs, support your values, vision, mission, and vision? So when you look at this model that is up here, it's, if you start on the left, the first question that you answer about your programs is, are they a good fit for your organization? And that is based on your mission and your values for the community and what you're trying to accomplish. And then if you move up to B, which is the green, that's really more about the financial capacity of the service. And in this case, is there the ability to charge a fee, or is this something that is going to be better off subsidized through taxes? With C, you begin to look at your alternative providers, other people who are out there offering a similar type of thing, or maybe even the same thing. And if you keep following these paths, it heads you toward the purple part. But the last piece is that market position, D. Are you in a strong position or a weak position to do it? Do you have the right resources? Do people look to you for this kind of service? Do you have the equipment and the instructors and whatever it takes to pull it off credibly? So in going through that process, where it leads you to then is these purple boxes in the end as you answer the questions, and it helps you determine, you have to make the final decision, but it helps you determine whether you should be offering that service. Maybe you should be looking for a partner. Maybe somebody else should be offering it altogether. You should be moving it along. Or maybe more than one entity in the community needs to offer it because there's such a demand. Or you should get rid of it altogether. So there's lots of options that come out of there. So between both the cost recovery and the services assessment, this body of work has really become incredibly important for data-driven decision-making and maneuvering through what we have found to be an ever-changing set of circumstances. So over the past couple of decades, we've done this work in organizations around the country. And we've done it when times have been good economically for them, when times have been bad, and when things have been changing right in the middle of the project. And that's where we were on this one. But the good news is that it really is always the right time to do it, because first and foremost, this process is really a framework for discussion, which has a solid foundation in place that is both flexible and nimble. So you will be able to work with those changing circumstances. So this new conversation that's been created in the organization it's really full of challenging the status quo, and it's what has allowed the division to pivot or move and fare well, even compared to other communities in your area when things got challenging throughout this pandemic.
Thank you. I just like to add, this was extremely challenging. You know, it does press on sometimes staff's attachment to programs and services when they've been so connected. It touches on history, but we really want to be able to evolve with the standards and expectations set forth by the mayor and executive as well as council, and we need an ability to justify and prioritize. And so this is important and arduous, but it was something we needed to do. This wasn't done during the last policy creation, and so this was a new component that we chose to do. It was painful, but good. It was a good one. One of the things we did is also a really great sorting exercise. We did this with the public. This was also something not done during the last policy that we opted to do, and what we wanted to find out was our priorities based on what we know through our plan and our executive. Did it also align with the public's priorities? We had a fantastic experience with this. I'll set the framework. So what we did is something slightly different. Instead of doing an all call and we would get a variety of voices and perspectives, we intentionally invited a variety. So many people don't identify exclusively by their job and demographic. They wear multiple hats throughout, the day and throughout conversations. And so we made a point to invite individuals that represented different demographics, different interests in different organizations, and it really made for a wonderful conversation. We invited 188, and I think we had, how many participate? Was it like 70 or 88 participated?
88, I think.
88.
Yeah, so Chris and Teresa did a wonderful job. They framed the conversation. We had 90 minutes with each group. We did 3 groups at 3 different locations. And this is just a small list of those individuals who participated. Their task was to sort the priorities based on that pyramid, basically the task we have, which is how do you subsidize, what do you subsidize, and which one takes precedence over the other. They did a phenomenal job. They had to come to a consensus. There was a staff person per table, and they had to report out basically how they prioritized and why. Each person represented a different, again, demographic or interest or service area. So it was wonderful. They on their own prioritized sometimes differently than we did, but it was wonderful to hear people listen and have conversation and produce this outcome. Chris, Teresa, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, there really was an effort in this process to engage the community in this discussion, and it's a very different way of getting input. And so what we're not really looking for is what we technically, I guess, would call an uninformed opinion or even an answer. We were looking for dialogue, that instead of giving, ask them a question, they give you an answer. They need to talk to their neighbors. They need to have some discussion before they can then give us, or we can learn from their discussion, what we call informed judgments. And their values show up in this conversation. So as much as we use the information as a sorting exercise to get to a certain point, what's really critical is listening for what they're saying and they view the services of the department. And it's actually a pretty fascinating type of input. So it's not normal. You can't get that kind of an input from a survey, but it does provide a wealth of information on how the public looks at services.
And Councilmember O'Halloran did participate. She was gracious. She's right here in that top photo right there, and so did Mayor Pavoni. So memorable and a great experience, thing we look to replicate. So this was the outcome of their conversation that they had. This was the task we gave them. We provided them a list of services and programs that we offered, and then they had to organize where it went from community benefit, which is the bulk of our taxes and subsidy would have lived, all the way to mostly individual, where 0 subsidies will live. Again, it was interesting and wonderful to see people articulate, give, negotiate, and listen to each other as to why their values ranked the way they did. And luckily, minor tweaks, but we were hand in hand with them, so that made us feel good that our values were also reflecting that, our public and our patrons.
And a broad number of staff people were engaged in this process too. So a lot of staff got to hear this conversation, which is really healthy.
And again, that didn't occur in the last time, not to say that they did anything wrong. It was just an opportunity to build off of what the previous team had created. And we even had some folks who retired. We had groups from different departments. So it was really helpful to hear from our colleagues and peers within the agency. Based on this, we strongly do stand by it based on the business plan that where the public's priorities lie, we feel we could complement based on our business plan. So this was great. The thing we needed to do next was we went down this other road to do kind of a health assessment. Where are we at and how do we execute the priorities the public has for us? And that's where we opted to create an operational and strategic plan. This was, again, very long and arduous and challenging, but our team didn't have one. And so Carrie and I felt really quite passionately, and thankfully with the support of Kelly, who helped us out on this endeavor, was we needed to formalize it, and we needed to kind of get a roadmap going for the team and those who would be coming after us and any new employees coming on board. So Teresa and Chris really pushed us, asked us lots of hard questions. This was months in the making, and I don't know, Chris, Teresa, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so we approached it with trying to really organize the needs of the department in a logical way. And so we began with really taking a hard look at their vision and mission statement. Then we got more into the program side with looking at program distribution and any disparities. And then after that, that's where we started to look at the cost recovery element and the services assessment that Chris went over. And then finally developing a plan for them to implement and to continuously evaluate. And so the document itself is divided into those 5 areas that gives you a solid background information on our findings and then recommendations that correspond with each of those areas.
Thank you. So within the plan, with Chris and Teresa's leadership and support and just wealth of knowledge, again, they do this nationally and they really are driving us towards a national standard. We feel very obligated to provide the public the best that we can as a team. In there, we submitted the draft for what we've provided to date. We had a lot of short-term, mid-term, long-term goals. They were also fantastic at providing us national standard examples of where you can do naming rights, another great way to generate revenue, where we could potentially do public-private partnerships, where they're seeing kind of these trends and ways to leverage resources. So we were really grateful for that. In terms of our key findings from this endeavor, which is about 2 years, and it's crazy to cover that in less than 20 minutes, but we realized, first of all, I have to acknowledge my team. The team was phenomenal and patient and enduring through this whole thing. And we've grown tremendously as a result. I don't think we would have been as nimble and agile during COVID had we not. We had to really unpack everything, and so that really did position us very well. We do want to continue to seek the use of data and mapping. That's how we provide geographic equity. We serve a broad community. I personally strongly believe a poverty lens. People can ebb and flow in and out of poverty. We have a lot of people due to COVID that go in there, and then people who transcend out. And with limited resources, we want to make sure we're not creating any barriers, but we're pricing adequately, but also providing ways to give people an opportunity to grow up in our system, work for us, play with us, recreate and learn with us. So we, again, find this to be a very important tool. Standardizing, we want to be able to do quality control and process improvements. We have a wonderful lean program as a city, and without standardizing, there's no way to assess and how to grow and improve without that information captured. Also, we talked about really using this methodology as a new way to funnel all our programs and services through. It's tedious, but it's beneficial, and we will do that as we start to reopen and recover from COVID. The division's efforts, we have been painfully in the state of adaptation, but now we're kind of getting used to it, and I think it's now becoming a little bit more comfortable for the team. They've done phenomenally well, but I don't want to say it hasn't been with its pain points and challenges. So again, we are getting used to that. Our new world, if nothing else, it will always be one of adaptation, and I think that is a good thing. You know, as interests change, demographics change, as well as priorities and resources, that we need to be adaptable, and I think we're getting better at that and being prepared for it. The last one is the need for an operational guide and a living document. We want to do this. We want to be transparent and accountable to our leadership and our patrons and the people we serve. And by providing this document, we at least have the framework now to be able to host those kinds of conversations. With that, next steps. So we do, like I said, we do plan on running all of this through the proposed recommendations, many of which are phenomenal, and we'll be reviewing those with Kelly since this is a department policy and our strat plan is a departmental document, just to really, again, make sure it's complementing our business plan and leadership goals. But Chris and Teresa have done a phenomenal job in really helping us grow and elevate how we operate as a team. We will start executing our objectives. Those mirror our budget goals. We do have those, but we wanted to expand, and so this document just expands our goals for the next several years beyond what's in the budget document. And then we want to bring back that fall interactive community conversation we have. We really loved it. It was a great experience. It was wonderful to hear our residents communicate amongst themselves and to be able to just listen And then at the end, we were able to have really neat, constructive conversations. At this point, we wanted to just save some time within this presentation for you to provide any questions, thoughts, or feedback. And then lastly, I just would really like to extend my gratitude to Green Play. Chris is phenomenal. Teresa did all of that hard work in the strategic plan that you saw in those documents. And then lastly, our team who went through all of this, analyzing public engagement and just trusting that sometimes new is hard, but sometimes it's better.
Well, thank you very much, Mary Jane, for taking us through all of that, and thank you to Green Play for joining us and for all our staff that helped with this. At this point, I would like to turn it over to council for questions. I don't see any hands going up, so you know, I will say that, or I guess it's a kind of question. So was some of this? I presume some of this was just less formal, right? I mean, probably year over year. Oh, am I losing you a little bit? Are you able to hear me? Okay.
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. Anyways, I was wondering, year over year, were we sort of doing some of this informally before?
Slightly, not too much. The challenge that we did have is we were basically offering the same programs and services year after year without having an opportunity in a defensible and a way to explain as to why we need to go in a new direction. Another good example is the fitness center. You know, our fees for sometimes it's $1, and we can't recoup any cost at $1, especially when there's so much competition now in the private sector that didn't occur 20 years ago. I mean, there's a myriad of gyms and fitness types of centers. So we just wanted to evolve and build off of it. The staff definitely did use standard protocols for Parks and Rec when you're generating and creating fees, but the timing couldn't have been better. But it was now to also include that component of a market assessment. Are we not only, should we be offering it, was kind of that next step.
Right. I remember in sort of an emergency basis going through a somewhat similar process in 2008 during the recession.
Yeah.
And but it was, you know, it was like I say, it was more urgent and probably less organized. And we didn't talk in terms of doing it on an ongoing basis. So I appreciate this.
Thank you. And a lot of what people experience from '08 and anyone in Parks and Rec have those kind of 2008 scars. They cut staff. If you don't know your business well enough, you go for personnel because it's the largest cost. It's the bulk of our budget. And I will say, as a city of Renton, I'm really grateful we did not have to lose any of our FTEs. We did have to maneuver different with supplementals and postpone having those folks on board, which are very instrumental. But we now know our business very well, that we can articulate it, share it, and navigate, I think, in a really thoughtful manner. You know, our philosophy is leading with a smart mind and a soft heart, and I think we can truly do that now with this process that we've gone through.
And Council President Corman, if I could, I would like to just thank MJ and Carrie. They truly have so much passion and have just driven this. And along with obviously Teresa and Chris, it's been fantastic working with you. But big hand to both MJ and Carrie, because it has been a process, and they have been very focused on getting this done and just keeping the community in mind. And it's been amazing to watch them go through all of this. So they've done just a fantastic job.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the council at this point? So the agenda kind of had 3 items on it, but I think maybe were they all encompassed by that presentation, or?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. You know, given that we have a little extra time and we've got MJ and Kelly here and other staff, I've had a lot of questions about where we stand with regard to some of our big programs this summer. And I wonder if you can give us any hints.
Yeah.
I will open by saying that I've appreciated that we haven't necessarily made all those decisions yet. The landscape's definitely changing. There's a lot of promising things going on with vaccinations, but then there's variants and all this stuff. So I realize there's many elements in play, but I guess I think the community and the council will be very interested in knowing kind of how we're leaning on some of the big things.
Sure. Would you do you have specific ones in mind, or would
the first one that had come to mind for me was, one of them would be the swimming pool. Do we see a chance to get that open for any period of summer, for instance, or are we leaving that option available? Another one would be, River Days and 4th of July and things like that.
Got it. Okay. We are going to do Recreation Jeopardy. So for 300, I will give you the answer.
Okay. And
sorry, I'm trying to forget my council president.
And will you hold that answer for a second? I just got a hand from Ruth Perez, and I want to see, maybe she wants to ask about this as well. So Ruth, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I was going to say that I appreciate the email that we received last week about updating us, giving us all this information about which programs are going to be coming back next summer, as well as the pool and some of the activities. So based on that, I think you will just refresh information that just provided, because it was very, very, very detailed about how we're working on bringing back some of the programs, and there's a lot. It's way more than I was expecting. So I'm very happy to see that a lot of programs are going to come back, and I know that the public is going to be interested to hear this as well. So
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President or Council Perez. Yeah, I could go through those certainly. So I'm going to go through the memo that was sent to council, and we will certainly be notifying the public of more. We're excited. Mayor Pavoni has been very supportive in helping us reopen. And again, had we not gone through this process, I think recovery would have looked different and challenging, but thankfully we did. So for the Renton Community Center, and sir, I'm just going to kind of go down that memo list and it'll hit the pool as well. So for the Community Center, we at this point have a tentative opening date of June 29th. And that is going to be for reservable use, and that's our fitness room, basketball room, racquetball courts, things like that. And then our goal is to expand those services come fall, once we are kind of in a different phase, ideally, and are able to execute more services safely. Our Highlands Neighborhood Center, where we offer our after-school and out-of-school program Stream, which is STEM-based and wonderful. That program is to resume in person on June 28th. And that one is also going to be in a summer camp format, which is wonderful, serving up to 75 youth. It is free, and it is wonderful quality programming. That's with Environmental Science Center, Tech Bridge Girls, Center of Renton. And we know we've heard a lot from parents who are very eager to help figure out what they're going to do with their kids this summer. And actually, Carrie and I are in that boat ourselves. Henry Moses Aquatic Center. We do have an opening date, sir, planned for June 26th to go through September 6th. It is at reduced capacity at this point, but we're super excited to even be able to open up our doors. And our challenge right now is getting enough staff, meaning lifeguards, trained, certified, and ready to go by that date. So once we know the volume of employees, we'll be able to set the schedule. So it will look different. We're just happy to be able to open the doors, but we can't at this moment commit to a particular schedule because we're still in that hiring process. Outdoor programming, working with our partners within the department, Parks Maintenance have been hugely supportive of the expansion and whatever we can get out there that is formatted use versus passive open use. So we have a lot of summer sports camps, that's through Skyhawks. And we have Adaptive Rec going to be coming on board and some environmental education programming. So all of that will be through our Perfect Mind recreation system software. Folks can look for that, and we'll be trying to update our website and promote that via social media however we can. We're still going to hold on to some virtual programming. That'll be for some of our seniors. They actually like bingo, which we're really happy about. So we never want to take away someone's bingo. So that's still going to go, as well as some informative other programming and things like that. So we also know that may play a role in the fall, so we don't want it to drop off quickly. And it's also a new way to experience things. In terms of events, we are going to be launching Chalk Your Walk campaign again. We're very excited. We'll be sending out personal invitations to council members on how you all can participate and help promote and campaign. There's some great themes. We have Cinco de Mayo, we have May the 4th be with you, Mother's Day. So it is going to be a great way to just be out there, be in the community. We had a wonderful response last year to our Chalk Your Walk campaign. We're very grateful the Hyatt sponsored this year, and they will be doing a Chalk the Deck and offering a small discount to folks if they want to come out. So that's a great excuse to get out there and enjoy that beautiful view. We have a home run derby. Chalk Your Walk is May 3rd through the 9th. We have a home run derby on May 23rd. Again, that's just promoting our kids getting out there and just doing exactly that. We have Scout Night. This is in partnership with the RFA and PD. They asked for us to support and coordinate, and so we are certainly happy to assist. Jennifer Spencer is doing a wonderful job with that. They're going to drive through RCC for that. Memorial Day, at the request of the mayor, he's really interested in asking us to evolve and expand an in-person experience done so safely within the COVID restrictions at the moment. So we will be doing our best to do that. We, again, will extend that to council, knowing how much you all support veterans and acknowledging this special day. We have a fishing derby at Coulon on June 6th. This is registerable. Also, this is normally a huge event, but it's been scaled down. We have a bike parade that we're going to be pushing through the neighborhood program. The reluctance of a lot of the neighborhood programs has been liability and concerns on how to bring people together safely. So we're going to provide them some kits and how-tos, so hopefully that'll make it easier and manageable for them. That will be obviously right around 4th of July. So that leads me into your question, sir, about 4th of July. We are looking at postponing that fireworks show at the moment until the latter part of the year, so that we can truly enjoy large gatherings without any concern. So this could potentially be opening night of clam lights. This could take us to New Year's. The date is still to be selected, but we're also looking at lighting the park differently so it connects to the Hyatt, so that there's more of a connection to that whole walkway area. So it is out of the box. A lot of agencies are still having to figure out and rethink, and then also we have a contract that we do have to execute with the firework vendors, so we need to secure that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. What a great report. I'm sure the community is going to be really excited about that, and I really appreciate all the work that's gone into that planning. I was going to say I think I might not be remembering this right, but we're probably going to hit our 120th anniversary on September 6th as a city. On our 100th anniversary, we had fireworks. So that might be another opportunity, something to consider.
Yeah, for sure. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And Ruth, thank you for bringing up that memo. Somehow I've had some things going on, and I think I didn't get a chance to look through that memo, but I'm sure the public really likes hearing the direct report direct from all of you that have made this happen and are clearly valuing these public events. And I see another hand raised. Valerie?
Yes, thank you. So I'm sorry, I think I might have missed the update on River Days.
So River Days is a separate nonprofit, and they are challenged with the large gatherings as well with the current COVID restrictions, which is about 400. I think another update just came out as of today as well. So they are not doing anything in their original format. We are partnering with them in the neighborhood program to provide in 4 different planning areas, 1 per planning area, a movie, a food truck, and some moderate to small pre-entertainment prior to. Once we work out with them those secured dates and locations, we will certainly pass that on to council. It may be a great way to introduce and also just be able to get back out in the public in a safe manner. So we will certainly follow up.
Thank you.
I thought I saw Angelina's hand go up, but I don't see it now. Angelina?
I was just going to I'm sorry, did I step in? I did want to just thank you all for going through all of it with us. And I was just following up on Councilmember O'Halloran and thanking you for really thinking of the neighborhoods and trying to give it an opportunity for people to gather in some safe way this summer. Those Friday night picnics, I think, are going to be a really great high point.
Well, great. Do any other council members have any questions, comments at this point? All right. Well, wonderful presentation. I really appreciate all the work that's gone into new policy to prioritize these programs, and I'm just excited about how life will be returning to normal, and I thank you for all that. And any more comments from city staff? Kelly, did you have anything to wrap up, or?
No, just again, thank you, council, for being so supportive and obviously understanding through all of the changes and challenges that especially the recreation divisions had to go through. And just appreciate our team because they've done a great job adapting and, as MJ said, being nimble so that we can continue to evolve the community. So,
All right.
thank you very much.
Okay. Well, with that,
I just didn't want to see if Carrie Nass, my manager, she's worked so hard beside me. I just didn't know if you had anything to say, Carrie.
No, MJ, you always do a great job presenting. I think you covered it all, but I guess one thing to note on it, where it's a perfect time to start implementing our strategic plan. As you may or may not know, we promoted 3 of our long-term coordinators to supervisors. So we have a true new leadership team, Tom Putoff, Jennifer Spencer, and Sean Claggett. And MJ and I will be leading our team to kind of move this whole thing forward. And we're in a position now where we can really look at those tiers of what the community wants, that pyramid, and then even allocate our staff resources, so the FTE, to really focus more on what the community wants and needs. So it's an exciting time trying to handle that along with opening up our building. And thank you to all of you and to Mayor Pavoni and Ed for allowing us to hire supplemental staff. We were kind of waiting on that. And once we got the go-ahead, we are going gangbusters. We've been planning all along to open safely, but now we have dates in mind, training, we can get staff hired. So we're thrilled. And just to note, the information hasn't gone out to the public quite yet. We wanted to present it to you guys, discuss it with you tonight. And then by, I think, Wednesday, midweek, we'll be doing some press releases with Dave and the communications team, updating on our web pages and so forth. So yeah, we're excited to open what we can.
all right.
And so
Well, Carrie,
we appreciate it all.
Carrie, thank you. Thanks to your whole team. Really appreciate it. And with that, I'll go ahead and adjourn the committee of the whole, and we'll reconvene in 17 minutes as a city council. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.